Hey guys, Reclusive Intellectual here. I started this channel for one reason, and that was so that I could educate people about things that might be going on in the world that you otherwise wouldn't really be aware about, because for some reason the mainstream media doesn't cover a lot of things. But I may talk about things that people don't understand. Well, what's he talking about? Why is he saying that? What's the NDAA? What's the Patriot Act? Stuff like that. But that's stuff for a later video. Right now, I'll go through I'm going to start with the Constitution, the Bill of Rights or whatever, and explain some of that stuff. So, obviously, there's too many amendments to the Constitution for me to be able to do it all in one video. So, I'm going to start with like the first 5 for this one. Because I'll go into a little bit of detail for each one and explain what they are. So let's start off with the First Amendment. That's the most obvious one that everybody is, up in arms about, because they're trying to stomp out our ability to speak freely. They're making zones. They passed a legislation to where you can't protest within a certain distance of a government official, which that's what that right is specifically about, is so that we can voice our disapproval for these officials that are passing legislation that's destroying everything. I mean, I'll get into the NDAA and the Patriot Act and all that kind of stuff. If you guys want me to explain what all that stuff is, post it in the comments. Shoot me a message on the Reclusive Intellectual page on Facebook. I'll be more than happy to help you guys out if you need a better explanation as to what that stuff is. I'm probably going to do it anyway, because a lot of people don't even know that stuff is implemented. Oh, and the executive orders. Yeah, I'll get to all that. So, okay, so the first, it's Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble. And then, we also have the right to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So, first off, I mentioned they have, the free speech zones where they designate an area for you to protest. Does that sound right to anybody? No, doesn't sound right to me. Also, it says respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Meaning, you're free to believe whatever you want, and you will, regardless what anybody says. But you don't have to push it on other people. If somebody doesn't want to believe it, let it go. Let it go. Like me, I tried to be a Christian for the longest time, but the Bible just doesn't make sense to me. There's so many things about religion in general that I just can't get down with. So I'm just not about that, and I'm not about to get in a debate over it either, because it's just not even worth it. Because faith is believing something without proof. And so you're a devout religious person is always going to fall back on faith, and you can't disprove faith, because if they got a feeling singing a song or whatever it is they were doing, and they got this feeling and they knew God was talking to them, you're not going to be able to do anything about that. So just let them be, and hopefully they'll come to a day where logic and reasoning will overpower their lack thereof, and will wake up. But anyway, that's not what this video is about. the right to peaceably assemble. I've seen so many videos of, I mean, just look back on Ferguson, and granted the people reacted badly, but they had a right to be outraged, okay? They had every reason to be outraged. But when you start destroying your own people's property, burning down stores and all that kind of stuff, like, is that gonna make it better? No, not at all. Burning down people's businesses is not gonna make anything better. You have to contact your congressmen, your senators, and things of that nature. You got to go through the courts, even though the courts are crap as well. You know, they're not really, they protect each other, not us, but whatever. You're better off going about things the right way rather than trying to use violence or, you know, inciting people to do harm, because that's just making the people look worse. I mean, even Obama quoted that people aren't smart enough to govern themselves. Why not? Why can't we govern ourselves? Why can't we protect our own homes with our own guns and defend ourselves if someone comes into our house or on our property and tries to do us harm? Why can't we defend ourselves? In New Jersey, there is no self-defense law, so if you kill somebody that comes in your house, you'll probably go to jail for the rest of your life, which is unfortunate. So amendment number 2, I was getting off on a rant. Amendment number 2, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, obviously. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So obviously it's saying a well-regulated militia. That's not the military. A militia and a military are two totally different things. A militia is not a standing army. If they wanted the military only to have weapons, they would say only the military can have weapons. Period. Not, oh, certain this, certain that. No. They would strictly say people can't have weapons because they just got done defeating a tyrannical government. And so if it was only the government that they wanted to have weapons, that's what they would have said. But no, it was them, the militia and the common people, that stood up and fought against the tyrannical government, and that's why America got to where it was. And now the government has become tyrannical once again because everybody's standing idly by and saying, oh, well, I don't see it for myself. When I see it for myself, then I'll take action. Once you see it coming down, once you see armored vehicles rolling down the street, do you really think you're going to be able to change anything? If they declared martial law, which there's several executive orders that are in place now to where the government will control absolutely everything if martial law is implemented. And I'll get into that in another video too. But for now, let's stick with the subject. I got a couple minutes left. Amendment 3. No soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in times of war in manner prescribed by law. Alright. You have the choice whether you house a soldier or not when, if, say, war ever came to this country, you could choose whether or not to house a soldier in your home or not. Living on a busy street. But anyway, so, you know, it's up to you. If the soldiers that are fighting for me to live freely need assistance, absolutely. Have a rest. Here's a bottle of water. Here's a sandwich. You know, whatever. Fourth Amendment. This is a big one. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, effects, against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. They have this thing that they came out with recently, the no-knock warrant. That's a clear violation of our rights. It says it right there. This will probably be the last one I get to because it's a big one for me. Walking down the street, they have to have a reason to stop you. They can't stop you for being black. They can't stop you for being white, which they do. If you're in a predominantly black neighborhood and you're white, they'll stop you and ask you what you're doing. Vice versa, or any other, ethnicity. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so the law says that they have to have reasonable suspicion, but they'll make up anything for reasonable suspicion. I was crossing the street one night and a cop didn't have his lights on or anything, and he's flying up the road. These cars, damn it. He's flying up the road, right? And I'm going across the street and I notice how fast he's coming. So I stopped it. I went to step over the middle line, but then I stepped back because I saw how fast he was coming. So he flies by me across the street, he busts a U-turn, and he comes back and he starts harassing me, asking me why I stutter step. Dude, you're doing 70 miles an hour down the road and I'm about to cross into your lane. Why wouldn't I step back? Do you want me to step forward so that you could run me over? I mean, come on. It was stupid. I mean, this is before I knew what rights I had. And he ran my name, started telling me all this stuff about myself and whatnot. And I'm like, dude, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna let me go? Are you gonna lock me up? What are you gonna do? So he ended up letting me go because he knew he didn't have anything on me. Only reason he wanted to run my name was to see if I had a warrant, which I didn't. So yeah, there's cases where these no-knock warrants, they bust windows out and they throw flashbangs into the room. There's been several children that have been life-alteringly injured permanently. Like a baby, her whole side of her face was burned from a flashbang. Do you think that kid's ever going to fully recover from that? Seeing burn scars on her face for the rest of her life? Kids that are shot by stray bullets. That's not really police, but police killing people for what they say is resisting arrest. Which, dude, there's so many times that I see cops stomping on people's necks and their knees and their backs and faces planted on the concrete, and the cop is kneeing him in the face talking about stop resisting, with 3 or 4 other cops laying on the guy with their knees in his back and all that kind of stuff. What has this world come to? To where the police have an us versus them mentality. I mean, really, if you're ever filing a complaint, I mean, the cops make it like it's just blasé, alright, going through the motions. I know it's a job, but when your job is an oath keeper, I don't know if that's the correct term, because I think that might just be soldiers. But cops, in any light, are supposed to protect people. And when it takes 20 minutes to a half an hour for a cop to get to your house when you call 911, I mean, come on. But then if they want to do something to you, they just do it. They rush, they say, oh, we got a CI that told us that there's drugs at this house, so we need a warrant right now so we can go kick the door in. And they get it. And not only has there been cases where they don't find anything, which there's an abundance of cases like that, but then, there's cases like the old lady that they kicked her door in. She didn't know what was going on. She had a pistol in her hand, and they shot her and killed her, and she was like 82 years old. So it's things like that that are beginning to drive me nuts. And I'm at my limit. So this is part one. Stay tuned for part two.